Someone once said that there is just one way to make a happy marriage, and that most husbands and wives would like to know what that way is. Marriage and family are two of the most fundamental aspects of life, yet they have always been and probably will continue to be the most complex and challenging things in our entire lives. Good evening, I'm Ted Lux. Welcome to WVIZ's special outreach program called Marriage in the 90s. Now tonight, we hope to bring you some insights, perhaps some helpful information, as you live with the struggles and the challenges of being married in the 90s and having a family life. How are we going to accomplish this, and especially on TV? Well, first of all, let me tell you about a group of people that we have here in the building tonight. Marriage and family counselors, volunteering their time this evening. Now, they're right across the hall in Studio B, and they're manning a whole group of telephones that you can very easily call. As you watch this program tonight, chances are that something's going to pop into your mind that you'd like to talk about. Maybe get some more specific information. Well, all you have to do is grab your phone and call us up, 459-2525. Now, our counselors are going to help answer your questions. They're going to talk to you. They can provide you with information on organizations right here in our area where you can turn to for more help and some more information, especially if something more specific than we'll talk about is on your mind tonight. Now, if you'd rather not call, that's understandable too, because a lot of us are bashful. Then simply send a self-addressed stamped envelope. Send it to Marriage in the 90s, in care of WVIZ TV, 4300 Brook Park Road, Cleveland, Ohio, 44134. Now, if you're all of a sudden grabbing for a pencil, don't worry about that, because we want to send you a special Marriage in the 90s brochure. Inside of that, you're going to find a county-by-county listing of nonprofit marriage and family counseling agencies all across Northeast Ohio. Now, again, if you're still grabbing for the pencil, don't worry, because we're going to repeat both the phone number you need and also the address several times throughout tonight's program. Now, if marriage and family life are what's on your mind these days, we are in great company, because we have with us a distinguished panel of marriage and family experts joining us here this evening. Distinguished is kind of a heady word, and also if you look at us on TV, this appears to be one of those heavy-duty sets, but no, the next hour is actually going to be fun. Let me introduce you to our panel now. First of all, Dr. Ellen Casper. Ellen is a PhD and a clinical psychologist. She's been counseling couples and families in her own practice for 10 years. Next to Ellen is Dr. Mark Lovinger. He also is a PhD and clinical psychologist, also in private practice. And Mark is on the staff of Mount Sinai and University Hospitals. Next to Mark is Dr. Michelle Harris. Michelle is affiliated with a counseling service at Case Western Reserve University. She also is a PhD, a clinical psychologist, and has recently opened her own practice. And our fourth panelist tonight is Dr. Boaz Kahana. Dr. Kahana is professor of psychology and director of the Center of Aging at Cleveland State University. He's also a PhD, a clinical psychologist, and an accomplished educator. You all have some very good credits. But let's see how you handle the most generic question I can come up with. We'd like you to respond to this one for openers. What do you think is perhaps the most challenging element of marriage and family life in the 90s? I said it was going to be generic. Ellen, you're closest. Go ahead and be first.
Okay, I get the honor. Well, we live in a very fast-paced, stressful, pressured society today. And probably the greatest challenge is learning how to balance and juggle all of the priorities which all family members seem to have. The parents, the children. We never seem to have enough time to do everything we want to do. We never seem to have enough money to buy everything we want to buy. There are never enough moments in the day to discuss all of those intimate feelings that we want to discuss. We never seem to have the right kind of time available to relax in relation to the stress that we experience on the job, in addition to the increasing divorce rate, which is still maintained at something like 52%, in addition to children who continue to be part of blended families. Somehow or other, we continue to try and balance and juggle all these pressures, and it's difficult. It takes a lot of work and creativity.
Right about now, I'm wondering how we're going to do all this in 1 hour. Mark, your turn.
I would think that one of the main issues confronting families and marital couples today, and will be in the future, I think, is the whole dual career problem, and raising a family and managing a career, kind of like what Ellen said in terms of juggling and balancing out. I think we have a tendency to think of everyone being a super mom, super dad, super professional, and I think at this point something has got to give, and people have to rearrange some of their commitments and priorities, and that's a difficult thing to do.
I believe you. Michelle?
Well, Ellen mentioned a number of important factors, and the one that stuck out most for me was child rearing. And I hear a lot of concerns about that with individuals that I work with. A lot of times we go into marriages with great, wonderful, preconceived ideas about how it's going to be. And even though those ideas might not always be unrealistic, sometimes we can really be surprised. Child rearing not only takes an awful lot of time and energy and commitment and empathy for others, it also impacts on other areas of our life, like our jobs, our relationships with our friends, our personal time, our private time and intimacy that we have with our spouse. And a lot of times those areas aren't focused on in the preparation for a child. So I often encourage people that I see to allow themselves to take time out away from children, to allow themselves to utilize family, babysitters, or whatever. We don't have to be super parents all the time, as Mark mentioned, in order to be good parents. And I think often parents are bombarded with what it means to be that, to be a parent. And I think often the definition needs to be readjusted a little bit to make it viable, to make it doable.
Our own expectations, huh?
Yes.
Sometimes we're a victim of them.
Yes.
Boaz, how about you?
Yes, I think that a number of the statements that were made really relate to some intergenerational issues, among others, and I certainly go along with all of these as critical issues for the 90s. I think an added dimension is with the longevity of our population, and 12% of our population is now age 65 and over. The issue of what to do with parents as they age and they become more frail is an important emerging issue. How does the family deal with an elderly father, mother, in-laws who are going through a period of physical decline or perhaps cognitive decline? And this is an important issue we're all going to have to tackle in the 90s.
Well, I'm looking forward to this hour because it's going to be fascinating for one specific reason. It's going to be about us, people. One of the ways that we're going to use to facilitate the discussion and perhaps introduce some subject matter is we went out and found some of your neighbors, local actresses and actors who agreed to portray in real-life form some of the problems that we all face from day to day. We've captured some of those moments on tape. We're going to look at one of them right now. We're going to lead off with Mark used the term, the dual career family. I'm one of those animals. Husband and wife both work with children. Now what? Sooner or later there's going to be confrontation. Let's go to the tape right now and see if you can identify with some of these people and the problems they're sharing.
Hey Ma, when are we going to eat?
We'll eat when your father gets home, whenever that might be.
Dad's home. Hi guys.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi.
Getting your homework done?
Yeah.
Hi, Toots.
Nice of you to finally come home.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you were here about half an hour ago, I could have had some help in here.
You do fine with the dinners. Doesn't she do great with the dinners, kids? You're a great cook.
Gosh, thanks.
You've had a bad day.
Yes, I have.
What went wrong today?
It was just a long day.
It was. Well, don't worry about cooking anything for me. I'm going out tonight. I got to go to a Kiwanis meeting.
I have to go to the airport tonight. I have a client to pick up.
What do you mean you got to pick up a client? It wasn't on my calendar.
It was on our calendar in the kitchen.
Look, it's not on my calendar, see?
Why would I put it on your calendar?
So that you could tell me what your plans are. That was the arrangement.
Dad, what about the science project you're supposed to help me with?
And what project is that?
The volcano that actually erupts?
A volcano that actually erupts. And when is that project due, dear heart?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? You're telling me tonight that you have a science project that has to erupt by tomorrow? It's not on the calendar, it doesn't count.
Can we talk all this out after dinner? I'm hungry.
Listen, young lady, there are more important things going on right now besides your stomach. Do your homework. We will get to you in a minute. Now, what do you mean you're going to the airport?
Don't yell at her.
I am not yelling at her, but I too, my dear, have had a long, involved day. My boss has told me to get this project completed. If it is not completed, I do not move up that corporate ladder and become the success that you want me to be.
And if I don't pick up my client, I don't get my bonus. And if I don't get my bonus, we don't go on vacation. And if we don't go on vacation, they'll be even more miserable than they are now.
Fine. Call your client a cab.
All right, he's a cab. That's not solving my problem. Why can't you take them with you?
Nobody takes their kids to the club meeting.
Well, I can't take them to the airport.
Why not? Kids want to go to the airport?
No, they don't.
Why not? They could
Because
entertain your client.
They could not entertain my client.
They could do a volcano demonstration like I'm going to do in a few minutes if I don't get this straightened out now. I have to go to the meeting tonight. My committee is giving its report. If I don't give the committee report, I will not get what I need from them.
Well, then you can take them along and they can watch you give your report. Wouldn't you like to see Daddy give his report?
Why don't you fix them dinner and I will get ready to go to my meeting and you can figure out a way to get a cab to the airport to pick up your client.
I am not sending a cab to the airport. I've got to do it myself.
Look, it wasn't on the calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't count.
It was on my calendar.
Well, at this point, we should give everyone watching at home a chance to stop saying, "That's you! That's you!" No, that's you. I want to congratulate all four of you for not jumping off your chairs and trying to strangle one of the two. I'm curious to know one thing, and you can decide who goes first here. When a couple, such as that couple, comes into your office, and hopefully they do, who do you talk to first? Where do you start?
Generally, it's easier to start with the couple because if you begin with one individual, it might be perceived that you're taking sides.
Yeah.
So it's best to hear the couple's story together. And not only from your point of view, but that way each spouse can hear how the other spouse has interpreted the situation. And in this situation, it's real obvious to see that each individual is viewing his own perception very stubbornly, very rigidly. There is very little room for compromise or empathy. And it's hard to have good feelings about either person in this situation because you sort of side with either one of them.
I mean, can we point blame here? That's not productive, right? You can't say, well, it's that person's fault, can you?
No, you can't. They're all in a very difficult situation. I think they are facing, the film is portraying an almost impossible kind of situation, even though oftentimes many of us are found in it, where the husband has to give his report, wants to put his best foot forward, and therefore is reluctant to take along the kids, which on some other occasions perhaps would be a good solution. The wife has to impress her client, whom she's picking up at the airport, and doesn't want the kids to interfere with her being able to do the sales pitch or whatever it is that she has to do with her client. And the kids have to have a report done for tomorrow. So again, it's a very difficult situation. However, each one is reacting with his or her characteristic personality to that difficult situation. And that's
so
where
whose priority is, I guess, has to be decided is whose priority is more important. And one thing that didn't happen in this situation is none of the individuals was willing to compromise. There was no room for compromise or understanding of the other person's point of view.
I didn't see much flexibility in that entire situation where, you know, there was such intensity and so much anxiety that was created over a plan that really could have been resolved. And sometimes a little bit of a sense of humor could help in resolving this, or just kind of seeing that this is unproductive, you know, realizing the priorities here.
These two have been doing this to each other for a while, though, right?
Exactly.
This is not a scare situation we just saw.
Sorry, no, that's one of the things that I was going to mention, and it comes up very, very often when I see couples in counseling. They come in together, which is a good idea, but often they are looking for an ally to say, see, isn't he or she the one that's really the cause of all these concerns? And one of the things I come back with, which is often disillusioning, is that no, usually with marital issues, problems are shared issues, and they're problematic not because of one incident like this, but because it's been going on for a long period of time. It's a pattern of interaction that is cyclical, and it doesn't allow them to really achieve a comfortable resolution. They can remain stubborn and rigid for the rest of the evening, and nobody is going to get done their important priorities. And what they need to do is what Mark said, is to step back for a minute, think about it, and perhaps help each other out with whatever projects.
And in addition, you know, there are so many issues that are important in evaluating this couple, because not only are we looking at time management problems, which are crucial for every American family today, because